All right, everyone. Jay Inslee has dropped out of the Democratic 2020 primary race, which, like most people, I had to Google Inslee when I heard it first because I didn't know his first name, or like I did, but, it's like easily forgettable. He's one of the also ran lower tier candidates, like the bottom quarter candidates, like not even at Gabbard and Yang levels, but like literally rock bottom. All of the people below at this point, Buttigieg, Beto, and maybe Cory Booker or Gabbard and Yang should drop out. The entire lower half of the field has literally no reason to exist. Collectively, between the entire lower half, you have 5 or 6 points of support. Even if every one of them but one dropped out and that other person absorbed all of that support, they'd barely be in 5th place at this point. There's no room in the field for them. The problem is this. You'll never have a moment where one of these individuals has just such a wonderful speech or a wonderful debate performance, just such a charming time that they rocket to the top and then level off and actually manage to maintain that support. It's not going to happen. No, what happens is that they have a Kamala Harris moment. Kamala Harris, who wasn't even starting out at non-viable levels, by the way, she rises up almost to 2nd place, briefly, skyrockets, then drops back down. She had her Ben Carson moment. You have some of these lower tier candidates who have Fiorina moments. Remember Carly Fiorina in 2016, Republican, while running. She was at like the kiddie table debate. She did well enough so that she rose up to like 7 or 8 points all of a sudden, then quickly crashed back down. Time and time again this happens. If you look at the trajectory of the different people within the Dem field, you can see almost perfect overlap with the Republican field in 2016. Biden is Trump. He keeps making mistakes, but people keep forgiving him. Now, with him, it's a little more of an unknown. It is possible that he drops dead of a stroke tomorrow. He's old enough and crazy enough. He could drop out. He could say, well, I'm not feeling up to it. In consultation with my family, I've decided to let someone else take the floor. The problem is, the longer Biden sticks it in, the more of a hardened core of support he has, and the harder it is for anyone else to amalgamate the kind of support he has. At this point, Biden dropping out might arguably be worse. The cure might be worse than the disease. The disease is that the front runner of the Democratic Party has early stage dementia, is not all with it, is not a particularly healthy individual, and is a weak, non-charismatic candidate who probably can't win. The cure to that is he drops out, and then you're left with what? Elizabeth Warren? She's already gone too far left to win a general. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. I don't think that he can win. Buttigieg could probably win, but nobody takes him seriously. And even though he might absorb a lot of support, it would be an uphill battle for him to go from the mid-single digits to the type of support that you have with Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, let alone the money. He outraised and outspent everyone else there for 1 quarter. I have a feeling that after failing to gain any traction, that's not the case now. At some point, he's got to cut it loose. So nobody knows who Inslee is. I couldn't tell you dick about his platform. I couldn't tell you one thing that he stands for, because nobody cares. Even Inslee's core fan base, fundamentally, they like his last name. They said, wow, Inslee, I can't support any of the front runners, so let me just throw a dart at a dartboard with the lower tier candidates' names and I'll back one of them. What are the odds that any particular person who said, well, one thing that he said I kind of like, so I'll donate to his campaign because I really believe he can win. At some point, even the core fans of a lower tier candidate become so demoralized they're not going to really do anything anymore. Unless your core fan base is rallied around you as a charismatic individual and they're part of the youth. This would be the case with a Gabbard or a Yang. They have that advantage. The others, not really. I think Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang are the only ones that have the lower tier advantage of having specifically charismatically driven fan bases. That's fine, but Cory Booker doesn't. Cory Booker's fan base is more like he's more of a legacy politician a la the 2000s. He had some name recognition. He's just sort of riding on that. Buttigieg's doing, I think, the same at this point. He has some cult of personality followers, but I don't think much. Kamala's got her 7 or 8% of the field, but Biden's got a third of the field. He's got between a quarter and a third of the field within the Democrats backs Biden. It's hilarious. And then Inslee, who, maybe he's a nice guy, maybe he's got a good platform, but you don't know that. When you go to these debates, almost all the questions end up, they don't spread the questions evenly across the candidates. They give much more time for responses and much more in the way of questioning to someone like Bernie Sanders than someone like Jay Inslee. That's the way it works, because they think that people want to see that. based on the polling. And they're not wrong. It's just that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy after a while. That's the other problem. You get these debates, it's like when Fox had its kiddie table style debate for the lower tier candidates. Well, fewer people are going to watch that, so there's less of an opportunity, even if you do really, really well, to rise up to the top of the pack. Fiorina came the closest of anyone, and it was hilarious. I think, wasn't she CEO of Hewlett Packard or something, one of these companies that died, or Compaq or something, and she got fucked, basically. I think, didn't she end up in legal trouble after the election? Or am I thinking of someone totally... Am I thinking of maybe the Yahoo CEO or something? Some of these, ghost... What are they called? Zombie companies or whatever within Silicon Valley. So they keep getting in trouble because they do weird shit to try to embezzle, because they're like, well, my company's going to die anyway. I might as well grab a bunch of money. Or they try to revitalize it and then they do crazy shit. It was funny because the Overstock CEO got canned the other day for saying he was accidentally worked for the deep state. Apparently he had a relationship with that Russian spy who was infiltrating the NRA meetings of some sort. He was like romantically involved with her in the literal sense. Whoops, yeah, it became a problem. Really crazy shit going on. Yeah, the Democratic field is one person short. The funny thing would be if someone else gets in. The only way you can have a dark horse moment isn't from someone who's already within the field. The way that gets accomplished is someone who hasn't joined in yet. The window is rapidly closing. People keep saying, well, there'll be an October surprise, Democrat out of nowhere, like, Reagan's offshoot there. What's his name there? Kennedy. Joe Kennedy or something. He's like in his mid-30s, like Buddy Gige's age. Could be him. Maybe Michelle Obama. Oprah out of nowhere. I don't think that's going to... The Rock decides to run. I don't think that's going to happen. Ironically, The Rock is the one who could probably pull it off. Yeah, he probably could. Even as a never-Trumper sort of centristic figure of like, well, let's get back to normal politics. He does have some charisma. He certainly has the money and the fame. Oh, he has the star power. And he's intelligent, too, The Rock is. You can tell. It's funny, he gets cast in roles based on the fact that he's got mountains of rippling muscles, and yet actually his brain works pretty well. This is the case like of Jesse Ventura, too. You get some of these people from that side of the entertainment world, and it turns out they're actually like really smart when they talk. And it's funny because it takes people aback, and that actually gives them an advantage. Trump is one of these people. He was associated with worldwide wrestling and pageantry and stuff. But then when he acts more calm and demure, he sounds really, really intelligent. When he stays on cue and doesn't go off into a populistic rant, he sounds like he could be addressing a class of PhDs. It's really a skill that takes time to refine, I'm sure. So yeah, Jay Inslee's out. And nothing changes other than one less person in the clown car. I think there's still 19 people in it. Well, there'll be one podium short at the next debate. See, now Mike Gravel can jump back in and say, I qualify, I qualify. That's about all. Peace out.